Firstly, we appreciate your presence here with us once more. Thank you.
Discussing motorcycles is always a pleasure that I never tire of.
I enjoy it. Yes, and for us to come here as well. Most importantly, thank you for allowing us into your house also.
No, man, welcome.
Hey, let's get to the point, because I contacted you and you informed me about the reasons why the Superbike is lively this year. Yes. Are you more excited than other years or what?
Yes, I believe so, correct?
Why?
Why, well, I believe that all the modifications that have taken place this year, both with pilots switching brands, as well as the introduction of new technical regulations and pilots arriving from other categories. So I believe that this year the grid is quite, let's say, appears to be like an anarchy, correct? Because before we were like Toprak and Yamaha, Jonathan Kawasaki and me, Ducati, were we a little the three of us who always set the pace for the races, and well, we knew each other well. We already had each other more or less under control, right? We were familiar with each other's strengths and weaknesses. However, this year, with the arrival of new drivers who are young and hungry to prove themselves, we have witnessed races that have been filled with fights until the end. It has become unpredictable to anticipate which driver could emerge as the winner. Hacks on one side or the other. I think this year is very open. Then with the technical change, the technical regulation, with the minimum weight of the motorcyclist, with the maximum gasoline that they have removed fuel to use the motorcycles, this gasoline is somewhat ecological. So there are also multiple technical changes there that until the brands and all that start to fine-tune with all that, well, especially at the beginning, there is like a lot of chaos.
And you need to include the injury at the start.
Yes, in my specific case, exactly, affirmative. An additional one resulting from the injury. I had a difficult time. Yes, I went through a difficult time.
But this was the downfall of Jerez.
Yes, the fall of Jerez from the test, it was a very ugly fall. Did I perform a high side maneuver, right? And I fell right on my head. It was in the last turn, in the middle of the turn. I hit a little bit of water that was there, some moisture. So, of course, as soon as I touched the gas, the bike high-sided me and threw me up. It is just that I did not pull a lead directly and go down.
Yes, definitely.
Also, I recall floating, saying, oh my goodness, and falling headfirst without time to touch anything while in midair. And I do not know, the day that came after bothered me a little, but it was not too important either. And it is known that later, when the area started to swell more, it caught the nerve there, a hernia. And that's when I started to lose strength in my arm. And well, there in Seville, I wanted to die. What was going to be a dream turned into a nightmare.
What a rage, isn't it? And were you scared, or did you know it was temporary?
Well, let's see. Passenger, at that particular moment, I said, well, it is an injury resulting from the blow, such as, okay. But the month of November was getting worse, the month of December even worse, because it was like the body was protecting itself from the pain, and at the same time it was like forcing muscles and adopting ways to avoid the pain. And in the end, I found myself in mid-December or so. I couldn't sleep at night because of the pain with anti-inflammatories, I swear. I said, well, it's impossible to ride a motorcycle like this. I considered saying, well, when I'm going to try to keep working, when I get to the tests, I'll see if I feel the same. I've come this far, right? Why have I never had an injury like this, right? It was the first time in so many years that I have broken bones, but they are things that you operate on or such, and you notice how you are going to improve. Here it was the opposite. It's just that from that injury. What seemed good, this in a couple of weeks, it was going to get worse. It was the opposite, right? And, well, it was quite difficult.
Test passed already or not?
Yes. After the truth is that in the tests, I couldn't be at 100%. We couldn't work on the bike or anything. And practically until the first race, it wasn't the time I got on the bike and said, damn, I can ride without being bothered, without thinking about the pain or limitation, especially the left curves limited my position on the bike. But what was happening?
Couldn't stretch, didn't have strength?
No, then I regained strength, but naturally all the thighs and everything were like all this, resembling a ball. So naturally, especially when turning the neck to the left, creating the curves, you know what I mean? That position had a limit in this place, so it reached that point and it was similar to a limit. It had no ability to move. I mean, like if you had a condition called torticollis, something like that. Yes, a stiff neck, but like a beast, right? As if I had a stop here, as if when I was going to move, I am stuck here and it does not move, well, like this. So it has been work, and, well, a considerable amount of physiotherapy, right? A lot of physio, yes, but, well, a bit of physiotherapy. It's not just about getting massages, it's work on strength, on recovering the muscles that have become atrophied, that have, let's say, taken a comfortable position, right? In an effort to avoid pain, all that needs reworking and regaining strength must be addressed. Thus, I've been actively undergoing physiotherapy with my physiotherapist, doing gym workouts, and engaging in various activities to facilitate recovery. Yes, exactly, yes, a little bit of everything. Yes, the elastic bands have been very useful. And yes, the truth is that now, luckily, I am able to ride the motorcycle well. Still have sequelae in my day-to-day. Yes, but little by little, they are going away.
Hey, the life of a pilot with injuries is something you learn to accept, as it is an inherent part of your job, and you develop a deep understanding of it over time.
Yes, it is part of the game. When you start playing here with the motorcycles, you say, let's see, it has very good things, but it also has very bad things. So you are aware that both options are present and you actively engage with all the resulting outcomes. Yes, it is true that it is harder to recover, and even more so from falls at almost 40 years old. Maybe if this happens to me when I'm 20, that happens to me, I'm a couple of weeks a little difficult, but then the body boom. Do you recover sooner, correct? It is evident that the older you are, the more challenging it becomes, but it is a part of the game.
And on another occasion, we had a conversation with Carlos Checa, who was explaining to us that the timing of winning titles determines the amount of money earned and how age affects the situation. He mentioned that there comes a point when you might find yourself riding in 15th place, experiencing cold weather on the bike, and questioning your presence in that situation.
Fortunately, it has not yet reached my location. Fortunately, it has not yet arrived, correct? Furthermore, I am uncertain whether the internal flame has become more evident to me again due to these changes, the things we have experienced this year. I have been motivated and have derived pleasure from witnessing this competition on the grid, observing these young drivers who come here with a strong desire to win, to prove themselves, and to shine. The flame is ignited in me saying, wait, as I still desire to ride, to compete, and to be competitive. So I don't know, I have the desire and illusion to persist and keep working.
The balance of the first two is that they cannot be referred to as races because there are numerous races, specifically 6. In this context, we designate them as rounds. Round 1 and round 2 consist of a total of 3 races. The Australian race in Barcelona had some ups and downs, but we were able to witness Bautista's return once again.
Well, I would state that I am returning, yes. Australia was a bit peculiar because, well, the asphalt on the track altered the situation significantly, so we had to execute the flag-to-flag strategy to switch the tires since they were unable to withstand the 22 laps. Well, some couldn't handle it. If you work to do the 22 laps, you can do them, but, well, the easy thing was to shorten them, and that's it. So it was a weekend that was a little strange, a little special, a little out of the ordinary. It was quite challenging to see and determine our exact location at that time, wasn't it? No, not at all, absolutely not. Australia always brings me immense happiness because, well, as I previously mentioned to you, right? I have already started, I have already said, okay, I am already capable of driving well. And in addition to that, well, on Saturday I had a fall for a little bit, a little too much. I mean, no, I have to be there, right? I need to ensure my presence, correct? Yet on Sunday, I managed to calm down and firmly stated that I can stay here and I am determined to stay here. And we were fighting until the end to win, correct? I have some holes like this in my lower back, the entire left side, which is incredible. But, well, I came back happy with how the weekend went. And in Barcelona, happier, not only because of the results, but also because, well, a long story that if I start telling it, it's very interesting. I'll tell you when we have more time. But in the end, I found the feeling that I've been missing all winter with the motorcycle, which I didn't understand. Yes, well, I was injured, but that was not the issue, correct? We had additional problems that ultimately they uncovered in Barcelona. We came across them, and fortunately, we found them.
But during the trainings or during the races?
During training, Well, on the weekend, on the first day of training, we discovered there that, something is happening in this place, and in the end, how good it is to see everything coming together. The positive aspect is that we accurately addressed the issue on the initial try in an effort to enhance it.
So what was it about the motorbike that you did not enjoy or find appealing?
Basically, I haven't felt comfortable riding the motorcycle during the winter. And in the first race in Australia, I was also not comfortable with the bike because it didn't turn. Yes, I couldn't ride like I used to. I couldn't brake hard, enter fast, make the turn with my body, and have the bike follow me. We were unable to accomplish that. I mean, the bicycle was more difficult to get into. It was more difficult to make it turn.
Did you blame it on the road in Australia, remember?
Exactly. I attributed it at that moment to the asphalt in the Jerez training sessions and to the Timau we did before Australia. I attributed it to my injury. Maybe I was injured and couldn't know, but it wasn't really that. Let's see, not 100%, of course. So, of course, after all those things, you say, it's because of this, okay, it's because of this, okay, it's because of this. In normal situation, when I'm fine, when I'm perfect, and it stays the same, he says, no, not due to this, other things exist. So, luckily, along with Giulio Nava, my technical supervisor, and the individuals from Ducati, we were analyzing, examining, and I said, look, I believe it's this, such, I don't know what. Ultimately, they made a modification in the end.
Does this change and suddenly you go out and say this is the bike, or is it? It has been step by step, hasn't it?
It was a modification that I affirmed at this moment, yes. It was, you perceive it was a modification because in theory, the motorbike we possess this year is precisely the identical motorbike as in 2023. Yes, with a slightly greater amount of weight, but that was impossible for him to accomplish what the problem was between the shoulder. Of course, I don't know what so many things.
Exactly.
At first I checked, I am injured, I can't fly well, maybe it's because of this. In Australia we arrived, of course, with this asphalt thing, will that be it? It doesn't turn because of that. And in the Tour of Barcelona I stated that this cannot be, there is an issue here. Therefore, during the Barcelona tests and the Barcelona race, were they analyzing and observing to determine what this could possibly be? And during Friday, well enough.
And do you know what I appreciate about this? What Ducati had faith in you? That's exactly what I like. Yes, I'm eating saying he's making excuses, right? Let's see what happens.
Man, let's see. Honestly, Ducati knows me, my team knows me, and they know that I am not one of those riders who make excuses. If it works and I don't go, then I'll tell you. If I'm doing well and the motorcycle doesn't work, I also say it, right? For instance, during the pre-season test, I could have accurately stated that I cannot drive in that manner. And you can inform me negatively because you are injured. So if I did not feel myself completely, why would I inform you that I do not enjoy the way the bike rides? Should not I be okay first and then we work on the bike? And maybe that is why we have wasted a little more time until we have gotten to this. However, that's why in Barcelona, more than the result on Saturday, you already knew you were competitive.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, on Saturday, we encountered a negative classification due to various other problems because there were repeated instances of no. Because when we modify the setting, we generally make a small adjustment or alteration. Last year, we made a minor adjustment when we switched to the soft tires in order to capitalize on it to a greater extent, correct? Therefore, on this occasion, we also accomplished the task, despite the fact that it was in direct opposition to the efforts we had previously made to enhance the situation. But last year it worked, and this year it doesn't. So it's strange that even though it's the same bike we used last year, it hasn't worked for me, but another setting and other things do work for me. But we were there, we tried it, it didn't work, I couldn't do a good fast lap, and it penalized me at the start. I started 11th. On top of that, they penalized me for transposition. They put me in 14th. It is as if I am already drowning. They have already finished manipulating my mind by stepping on me. But I was convinced that we had the feeling, we had the rhythm.
And I observed the race on Saturday and you completed the race in the 14th position. You crossed the finish line in either the 14th or 13th place on the second lap of the race. The 14th and the 13th. I mean, it is stuck, but no, we must be patient, correct? Barcelona, Spain?
It's a saying that means dress me slowly, I'm in a hurry.
Exactly. I say what's going on?
Because precisely, you see, on one hand, I say if I can attack and I can throw, but on the other hand, I have to conserve the tire. So I attempted to be as precise as possible. Even if you go smoothly, you always have to make other lines in the fight. Can't make the cornering move you want due to other drivers, right? So I did spend more than I should on tires, because if I go out first like I did on Sunday and boom, 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 I get into my rhythm, at most one guy might pass me, but I can handle it.
In that race on Sat, did you wait a bit for the group to stretch?
No. What happened was that, of course, what was happening, that everyone at the beginning goes all out. I wasn't going all out to consume tires, so I couldn't do more. Then when after 3 or 4 laps, when they had the first drop in tire performance, I started to go, and I think that if they hadn't penalized, well, those 3 positions, I could have stayed 3 positions further ahead. I mean, first you didn't finish, you placed third.
Third, no, yes.
No, yes, that's why, yes, go for it. That race was also one of my best races, because also I don't know why my motorcycle didn't run on the straight. For example, I was behind Petrucci against Ducati. I would come out of the slipstream and I had to get back in. I don't know, he had a better development, a little longer. There was a lot of headwind in that.
And no, well, it was a race that you do not see on a daily basis, an extraordinary event that is not commonly witnessed.
It doesn't happen every day. The truth is that I was indeed happy. And also later, also the Super Pole, because in the end, it's like management that says, well, how do you manage the tire can be there, right? But on Sunday, the Super Pole, a 10-lap race, only that is of speed. There I was too. Well, I started and nothing. I started to push and I reached the front. I got first on the last lap, and then there was then I passed Toprak in the first braking, right? He says on the last lap, me in front, the guy behind. And I say, since he couldn't pass me anywhere, I say he's going to play it in the last corner like Valentino. And I say he's going to go in, and I know him, and he's going to go in for sure. I mean, if I go on the outside, he's going to go on the inside. If I go in like I'm going into the pits, he's going to be even more on the inside. I mean, I do not care what line he takes. He is definitely going to get in. I tried to close a little, but not too much, because I say it is going to touch me and it is going to fall for sure. So I closed a bit, and based on my entry into the curve, I already saw his bike there. I tried to hold the line, but nothing. The guy went all the way. I had to lift. I got out of the clean line. The guy turned, and that's it. What came from third passed us and almost happened to him. It happened to me, and he was about to pass him, but of course he says no, just like Valentino. Same turn. He entered, but of course, if you see Valentino's images, he passes him. But the thing is that Lorenzo never has to lift his bike and nothing. Simply Lorenzo gets behind Valentino and goes behind. I had to lift the bike because I entered the curve first, and the guy, well, he entered, so that's it. Either I enter or I enter, and that's it. And I had to lift the bike, go off track, and not only did I lose that position, but I also lost another one, and as a result, I ended up finishing in the third position. The Super Pole is the one that scores the least, scores less, but then gives you the grid for race 2. The first 9 are the first 9 positions for grid 2. So after finishing third in race 2, I started third, which is not the same as starting 11th, of course. Very good. Great.
Do you already have the weight assumed, and have you had to modify it? Because I recall that with the weight on the bike, you mentioned at the start that you were arriving late in the braking zone because your braking references had to be earlier, right?
Yes, let's see. No, mainly because more weight, more inertia, so it's harder to stop, harder for everything, harder to change direction. All like that already. For us small and light pilots, it's hard in itself. Well, if they put more weight on you, it's even harder, right? So, well, ultimately you have to adjust, correct? But what I continue to emphasize, it does not appear equitable to me, this regulation, correct? I solemnly swear to you that I am not saying it for myself, because fortunately it only affects you and not me. Yes, let's see, but I'm not saying it. It's a rule they've imposed, but in the end, as you say, the only one who must put more weight is me. So, for a pilot, it does not seem fair to me that an entire technical regulation of an entire championship is solely directed towards only one pilot.
Not fair to me, it seems.
But above all, what I find unfair is that if in the future there are pilots like me, I mean, well, not like me or like MotoGP, because if you see other MotoGP pilots, they are thin, skinny. I mean, they are pilots. If you must be a pilot and you must be like that, well, you have to be
He is a jockey. He is a jockey. Exactly.
A guy who plays basketball is not going to get into horse racing, or a jockey is not going to get into playing basketball. No, because it is not his. It does not correspond to him.
Exactly.
What bothers me is that because of me or this rule, they have made a small concession for me, which leads other pilots to say that maybe they are not as competitive, and as a result, they already start to be penalized before even getting a fair chance to prove themselves. If it's hard for them to handle the superbike with the weight, the power, and on top of that you penalize them more, it doesn't seem fair to me. I mean, I understand that they want to balance the championship. I think it's great. I mean, for me, more competition. In fact, I've told you that this year I'm more motivated because I see more competition, but I don't like this rule. This rule has always been said in MotoGP that the smaller riders have had more problems, and it doesn't seem fair to me that these bikes, which weigh 12 kilos more than a GP, also put more weight on you. I don't think it's the best way. And I swear to you, I'm not saying this to complain for myself. I'm saying it for the sake of the future of the pilots who may come, and that a little pilot, we don't have more advantages than to ride these motorcycles. We have more disadvantages. But people don't understand this. People only understand that the smaller the motorcycle, the faster it runs. However, if we fail to utilize all the power at our disposal, if the full extent of power cannot be harnessed, and if individuals, for reasons unknown to me, have contributed to the emergence of a certain trend that is in fact unfounded, then we incur a cost. Nevertheless, that is the extent of it, and the matter is concluded. Yes, let us see, I have to live with it, but I will tell you that I am going to try to keep fighting to have this rule removed, because I do not think it is fair. And I'm telling you not for me, I'm telling you for the future of the championship of the other drivers.
The conclusion of your tires is different compared to last year because, in theory, you had an advantage in terms of tire consumption due to the weight of the vehicle.
I was going to inform you that in Australia it is extremely challenging to express due to the fact that the circumstances were the sole ones, I believe, the sole ones that concluded successfully with the tires were the Kawasaki and Yamaha. And I do not think it is a weight problem, it is simply a setting problem. And well, they did an excellent job here in the beautiful city of Barcelona, Spain. The inaugural race came to a close in a fashion reminiscent of the previous year, with a few minor deviations here and there. The second race concluded successfully. However, I must mention that in this year's race, with additional weight on the motorcycle, my performance has improved by 5 seconds compared to my race last year.
Do you get me, right?
And in the race that occurred on Saturday, which Toprak won, it was slower than my race in the previous year. And mine, the one I won, has been 5 seconds faster. Therefore, perhaps the weight will not be present, as there might be other contributing factors that are not solely related to the weight itself.
Well, let's discuss the championship in general. You've already mentioned that you perceive it as significantly more competitive. And in the previous year, you mentioned, where were the rest of the Ducatis? That you were the individual who was making the distinction. Now your team member is also present. What is the significance of this?
Well, this means that if you want to win a championship or want to compete for a championship, you have to have a good motorcycle, but you also have to have good riders. So what I mean is that Nicolo has come from a background of winning the Supersport Championship, and he is undeniably a very talented and skilled rider in his own right. So you, a talented pilot, give him a good bike and he will go fast from day one. If you don't remember correctly, Nicolo, when he arrived on a motorcycle, he was Valentino's protege. He was going to be the future Italian promise, the future substitute for Valentino. He arrived with that image.
Moto arrived.
Then, well, he faced more challenges than anticipated, and the fact is that greater expectations were placed upon him.
And on Moto2 the same.
Motorcycle is a very difficult category, and well, it didn't hit the mark. But when Supersport came, already the first year with the Ducati was very fast. Last year he won, and from the first moment he is going fast with the Ducati. So I think what Ducati was missing were fast and competitive riders. In a similar vein to BMW in the previous year, honestly going after the other BMWs didn't seem like a bad bike choice to me at all. But of course, if you don't have a pilot, it seems like a bad motorcycle, right? Or for example, with Kawasaki, with Rea, wow, Pelez, how well Rea has done. And yes, low is present, but the level is absent. So yes, you must have a good motorcycle, but you also must have good riders to go fast.
Do you have a tough rival in Bulega or not?
Yes, I already mentioned it last year that the Toprak was going to go very quickly with the BMW for me because I observed the bike, at least from the exterior, to be quite competitive. And the skilled pilot who showed great promise this year and emerged as the top candidate for the championship title was Nicolo.
I was clear about it.
Because what I'm telling you, I've seen him work for 2 years at Supersport. The way he works is very similar to mine. It's with the mentality of the championship, of the other championship of 3 motorbikes, 2 MotoGP. And the guy is talented and goes fast and joins that the bike works well. Well, in my opinion, he is definitely the main candidate for the title.
Yes. Hello. Could you please explain the definition of working in MotoGP style to me? I am curious to understand what it entails and how it differs from other styles of working in the MotoGP industry.
It's a different mindset, right? Well, there you work, you focus on yourself, you focus on improving, and if there are others who beat you, well, you say if they beat me, I have to improve here or I have to do it like this. And you are consistently working on yourself and making improvements here. Well, it is undergoing a little change now, is it not? Because the mentality before was to say, no, if this goes fast, we have to do something to make it not go fast, instead of you looking for something to improve. No, it is going too fast. Do you have to decrease the level? Do you have to decrease the revolutions a bit like this, correct?
Hey, does your motorcycle have the same revolutions as last year?
We started to see, last year we started with a number of revolutions and ended with 500 revolutions less. And this year we start with the ones we started last year. That can no longer be done. In one of the, let's say, compensations for putting minimum combined weight, it was that the factories with the revolutions that start are with the revolutions that do the whole championship.
Are 500 laps a lot, right? Will it be noticeable or not?
Indeed, it does indicate at particular times, does it not, as evidenced by observable occurrences and patterns. However, ultimately, we worked in the prior year to select 500 fewer revolutions at the engine level, which proved to be a simpler task. In some points, we do touch the limiter, and this year we have continued with that philosophy, but with the luck that in some moments we have that extra.
Ah, how pleasant. Hey, you mentioned Toprak's BMW car. I'm curious. Can you give me more information about it? Is it the pilot or the vote that has improved, or both of these things?
Man, I think both, right? Yes, I believe that Toprak has a great talent. He is one of the best drivers in the championship. And BMW, if they have signed him, it is because he has given it his all. So guys, well, the bike, the engine, right now I think it is the most powerful in the category in terms of speed, faster than the Ducati motorcycle. That's why they chose him for the team. Clear they need to improve. He still needs to adapt, as it's a very different bike from the Yamaha he rode last year. Yes, I think both. What I've told you, if a bike is good, it needs a good rider, and if the rider is good, it needs a good bike. I mean, it's the combination.
But what do you see rolling behind him?
In the BMW, it has a lot of acceleration, it has a lot of speed. In comparison to the Yamaha, it doesn't have that ease of entering curves, of making it turn. Do you need that, right? He lost a little in braking compared to last year, but he gained it in acceleration, he gained it in top speed. So, of course, there is no perfect motorcycle. Where it excels in one area, it may have weaknesses in others.
And what about your own? Where would you like it to improve and become better?
Well, at present, we need to ensure that the bike functions in the same way it did in the previous year. If it operates similar to the way it did last year, man, let us observe. If we had a slightly greater level of stability in the curves, I believe it would greatly benefit me. Because at the present moment, however, I must inform you that the stability I possess is not equivalent to the stability possessed by my partner, for instance. Because small pilots have always faced the problem that when we exit curves, we consistently lose direction. I have inquired the engineers at Educate on numerous occasions, hey, why do I lose direction, right? Look, see, all the little pilots, don't ask me why, but we have never been able to maintain that composure on the front wheel no matter how hard we try. Always, the little pilots are left without direction. We have tried to test with this, with another.
Does it say there is no way because by accelerating, the normal thing, you throw yourself forward, or should you not?
Of course, if you accelerate and use that accelerator, but of course I'm small, light, so of course the power at the end throws you back. throws you back, and even if you pull with your arms, but of course you're already pulling the bike, so whether you like it or not, you lift it up. However, a larger, heavier pilot is further ahead and has to exert less force with their arms. It's a disadvantage that only a big pilot will never feel. You can say, if I don't leave the curve, and there's no problem. Sure, you're problem-free, but I'm not.
What is the height of Bulega? Well, Bulega easily surpasses my height by a whole head, measuring approximately 80 meters in total.
I think it will measure about 180 meters, yes.
Hey, have you talked about the young people who have arrived? Well, there is one that has arrived who is not so young, which is Alianon. Have you been surprised that it is after such a long time, that it is going so quickly or not?
Let's see, I knew it was going to go rapidly, but not steadily. What has surprised me is the consistency he has been able to achieve in these initial 2 rounds, because you have always been battling there ahead. So perhaps that's what caught me off guard. Let's take a look. Andrea possesses talent. She has consistently been quick. Doesn't it lack a little bit of managing situations, right?
Manage the case, yes, exactly.
I did not mean that, but yes, but I perceive him as more mature. I perceive him as much calmer. And yes, what I am saying, I did not anticipate the consistency that the speedy one is currently experiencing.
I knew I was going to go. I wanted to talk to him. So I have contacted the people from Superbike to help me locate him. And they have told me that he has opened a bar in Madrid.
I see something on social media.
So they told me, hey, it's easier to meet Madrid than to talk to him in Italy.
Find out what their Madrid is? Hey, anyways, I believe Iannone is approximately 4 years younger than me or thereabouts. I believe it is old, but not to a great extent. He is more elderly, but not to a significant degree.
Experienced. Do you still keep up with MotoGP?
Yes, of course, I understand, yes.
And what is your opinion on the current state of MotoGP? Because similar to Superbike, there has been an evolution and total anarchy this year. Also, Marcon, Ducati, the phenomenon has reached the coast. How do you perceive it? Do you enjoy MotoGP or not? Yes, the truth is yes.
No, because, well, it is different from other years, I believe, because in the past there used to be a larger presence of the Bagnaia Martin, but now it is more open and there is a greater spectacle compared to previous years, which makes it stand out.
Apologies, the language spoken in your box is Ducati. They are discussing the chaos within Ducati, and a mess in quotes.
Yes, blessed mess to have 2 great players involved there. No, let's see, they don't speak at all. We are from Supervive, we simply enjoy.
It's not our problem.
No, but the comments, no, yes, no, but well. The comments are that Mark is Mark, that he will arrive, that he will give a fight like he is doing, and that there will come a moment when he says, wow, look at the mess we have here. It's already tangled, but no, but dark is cool, because in the end, one thing that I like, and that is clearly seen and also listens to comments from other pilots, I already saw it in the first race in Qatar, and it is how it is noticeable that Pedro comes from Moto2, and he is the only one who drives differently from everyone else. They have very distinct lines. So, well, we also appreciate you with all these dynamics that exist, with all this way of riding this MotoGP. That seems like everyone is on rails, and it's difficult to get out of the trajectory to pass. And that is very difficult because in the end, the bike forces you to go like that, or you go slow, and you see Pedro, man, who has arrived and does other lines, who in Qatar overtook a lot. Yes, but why does he do other lines? And the guy goes fast making those lines, so you say, damn, maybe there's another way to go. So, well, it is cool. I believe that this year is going to be quite funny and enjoyable.
Hey, during my time on bike number 3, I approached Cito Poncito and asked him, what sets Pedro apart from others in terms of his approach? And he goes and tells me, but dude, you're blind, as I always say. Yes, I am blind. He says he does fewer meters than the others. I mean, the curves, if he enters more directly into the curve. But the good thing is that he exits the turn and does not go long, you know?
Yes, the same thing happens here to me as in Qatar. Of course, I had never seen it because the hills cannot be seen. But the first time I saw it rolling like this in Qatar, every curve was like losing in front, right? Because he entered very aggressively in the front. So clearly, I don't know if the MotoGP, maybe the KTM allows it or not, but you don't see anyone else doing it, only him. So you say the good guy lacks experience, such, but the same thing happened in Portimao, and it is his way of driving. So, well, do you have a fondness for it? Is it to your liking?
Do you like how it's going or not? Or do we have to wait and see? Do we have to wait, right?
Then you will need to increase your pace even more. The method to ride the MotoGP at 100%. Because if you have already arrived at the second race, boom, it will be crucial. And he is at such a level because he has a lot of room for improvement. So I don't know if he will continue with that style and adapt the bike to be able to drive it in that style, taking less risks, or if he will adapt to others, not doing that for God's sake if he came to do something different.
Of course, exactly.
When Mark arrived, he started playing with his elbows, new blood, right? Say, this guy drives like this, it's effective. You'll see how everyone starts driving like this. So, well, you have the ability to establish a new trend, and well, this is always the case. I mean, pilots with character, with talent, with personality are like that. They arrive and create a trend. They are more significant than a fast pilot who defeats you like the others, correct? But it's just faster, like the others. The case, for example, of Valentino creates a trend, Lorenzo created another trend, fluidity, Mark created another trend of the elbow, of aggressiveness, such. Now this one has arrived, it establishes another trend. So those are the pilots who state there was a before and after that pilot who indicates an era.
Exactly. Hey, and Mark, in his first race on an unfamiliar bike, manages to finish in 4th place despite not knowing the bike well. I believe everything's been said there already.
Yes, let's take a look. Well, John never doubted Mac, isn't that right?
Immediately.
Yes, because in the end, when a pilot is good, they have gone through difficult moments when they have not been comfortable with the bike, and you give them a bike that works and that they feel comfortable with, well, boom. Is it easy to take that step, right? But of course comes the difficult part, which is taking the little step, right? So, well, little by little, I saw him quite calm about how the sea is. I saw him say, okay, wait, first let's start getting used to Qatar. In Qatar, the event has commenced in Portimao and is currently in progress. In Portimao, I witnessed him taking a bit more risk, apart from the fall with Pecco, right? But I saw him taking a bit more risk, playing a bit more, and pushing the limits further. So, well, I believe you need to do it in this manner, gradually, correct? Arrive as everyone anticipated or thought it would arrive, and it is going to have a sweeping impact, correct? No longer devastated. Now there is a lot of mechanical equality, and it is no longer a landslide. Now it is won by a little.
There's already a lot of equality. I must ask about the incident between Pecco and him. Yes, let's see what reading you do.
You know, something similar actually happened to me in that exact same curve when I was riding the superbike with the wave. Something similar occurred to me, but not exactly the same, because in the end, I managed to pass and made contact with Loris Batz. I passed him by braking alone, but I didn't go wide like Mark and Vaz thought I would, no matter what happened in the end. So the uncle intercepted, but he went into the piano and everything, and he went straight, touched me and threw me. But this situation is different because Mark passed him. He got ahead a little, and Bagnaia wanted to quickly recover the position. However, of course, I believe Bagnaia miscalculated and thought he would reach that point before Mark, and that Mark would have to lift some weight in order to catch up. And the issue is that Mark recuperated very rapidly the line, and they both arrived at the same point, so they could not both enter. I believe it was a miscalculation, particularly by Pecco, who is the individual on the inside and is the individual attempting to increase speed in order to reciprocate the encouragement. So, well, it is complicated from the outside, it is one thing. From the inside, things are actually quite different.
So, would you have become angry if you were in the position of Mark?
If I were Mar, I would have felt a tinge of upset similar to that. Yes, definitely, without a doubt. Let's take a look. These are circumstances that can potentially occur, right? However, honestly speaking, I have no desire to assign blame to anyone, right? However, at the very least, I believe or can interpret that if someone could have prevented the fall to some extent, it was Pecco. I don't blame him much less because you're there on the track and everything happens very quickly.
It is very complicated, but Álvaro is not, like I say, he is not from the first year of college.
Is there a space? Let me see. Are there any spaces and spaces? Is that right? Please confirm if there are spaces and spaces, okay? But in this case, it is that. I think it was a miscalculation. I think Pecco thought Mar was a little longer.
Yes.
It was instinctive for me to say that I took the side. as he entered from the inside and moved as quickly as possible to regain his position and make a quick and accurate turn. However, it turned out to be a miscalculation on his part. I have not blamed anyone, much less.
Before concluding our discussion, in this new MotoGP season, I can picture Jerez, a circuit where you have competed numerous times alongside Dani and Pedro Acosta. It's going to be that war. It's going to be war. Well, we'll see. Are you going down to see him?
We need to see Dani because he performed excellently last year. Let's determine if hopefully I can reach the same level this year.
I don't know if it's a mistake because he already did it so well.
Certainly, it's just that currently it's going to continue, but each year is different. I believe that at present there is much more equality in MotoGP. Last year there was already equality, but this year maybe there is more room. The level has still risen a little bit more.
You guys run an ace in the next one?
Yes, the conclusion of the month of April.
How are you? Ready? Are you ready for Barcelona? Have you proven that you're ready to fight in every race, whether you win or not?
Well, in Barcelona, the positive aspect is what I mentioned, that he regained the sensation with the bike, correct? The important thing is that when you have a good feeling with the bike, you can drive the way you want. Any clue, any situation is good. So Assen is definitely very different from Barcelona. It is a track that is very smooth.
I have no idea how it was there during the previous year.
Well, the thing is that at the beginning of the year, we had a good start to the year. I won all 3 races there. Yes, no, no, yes, no, no. I think it's a good circuit. No, but what I'm telling you, every year is different. There are more pilots. There is more competition. So you are unable to go saying, last year I won, this year, well, I have to not let us go doing things right in the correct manner.
You had also won. I won all 3. Exactly.
So every year is different. There are new situations. For example, here leaving on the 11th, you can believe it's always harder. So right now there are very, very fast drivers in one lap who may be later in the races, but of course if you don't have a good starting position, you're already sold. And it's a bit like MotoGP too, isn't it? Right now the output is quite important in Supervive to catch the rhythm because everything is already much more balanced.
How good? Well, nothing. I like seeing you animated again.
Indeed, indeed, I am brimming with excitement in anticipation of you and all that is to come.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.